Graduation day was supposed to be one of the happiest days of my life. The culmination of sleepless nights, part-time jobs, late-night study sessions, and all the sacrifices I had made to prove that I was more than the label my parents gave me. The disappointment. I stood in front of the mirror, zipping up my crimson robe, the same color I used to imagine when I pictured power, confidence, respect. My cap rested beside a copy of my valedictorian speech, and in that moment, I let myself believe. Maybe just this once, they'd be proud of me. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video. But deep down, I knew better. My parents never showed up to my science fairs, my presentations, my hospital visits when I got pneumonia and was admitted for 2 days without a single call. They poured every ounce of attention into my brother, Julian, the golden boy with a B- average, a cocky smile, and their complete devotion. They funded his out-of-state college, bought him a new car at 16, and still let him live rent-free in their house at 27. Me? I had to beg for rides to work in high school and got a toaster as my high school graduation gift, from a garage sale, still with crumbs in it. Still, this was my moment. I earned my scholarship. I worked 3 jobs. I never gave up. I had no support, but built everything from scratch, even turning my final project into a published academic paper. My professors respected me. My classmates elected me valedictorian. I thought maybe now my parents would finally see me. As the sun climbed over the stadium that morning, casting long shadows across the sea of folding chairs, I scanned the crowd. They were there. My mother in pearls, my father in a navy jacket he only wore to important occasions. But their faces didn't hold pride. They looked irritated. My stomach tightened. I approached them before the ceremony. My heart thudded like it was trying to punch its way out of my chest. "Thank you for coming," I said softly. My mom sighed. We almost didn't. Julian's car broke down, again, and we thought about just staying to help him. But your father insisted we at least show up. I forced a smile. "It means a lot." She leaned close, her voice cold. "Don't get too full of yourself. Just because you got a degree doesn't mean you're suddenly important." I stepped back. My father looked me over, sneered at my robe. "What's that rope thing around your neck?" "My honors cord," I replied quietly. He laughed. "Show off." Before I could respond, someone called the graduates to line up. As I turned, my dad grabbed my wrist. "You're lucky we even came," he hissed. "You were never supposed to make it this far. Don't embarrass us up there." I blinked at him, stunned. "What do you mean?" "You know what I mean. You're not the one we invested in. All this," he gestured around, "was wasted on you." I pulled away and walked toward the line. My heart was racing, my mind spinning, but I kept my face still. I wouldn't cry. Not here. Not in front of them. The ceremony began. One by one, names were called. Applause erupted. Then it was mine. "Valedictorian of the class of Hamilton University, summa cum laude, Department of Biomedical Engineering, Celia Monroe." Applause thundered. Some students stood. I walked across the stage. When I glanced at my parents, they were whispering to each other, frowning. I reached the podium to give my speech. I looked down at the paper, then at the crowd. I took a breath. My voice was steady, though my hands trembled. "To the people who believed in me, thank you. And to those who didn't, thank you even more. You gave me something to prove." The audience chuckled. Then came the moment. As I returned to my seat, my parents stood up and approached the stage, in the middle of the ceremony. I froze. My father grabbed my shoulder and turned me around in front of hundreds. "You don't deserve that degree," he shouted. And then, a slap. Sharp, humiliating, and loud. Gasps rippled through the crowd. The microphone picked up everything. I heard someone whisper, "Oh my God, did he just—" Security rushed forward, but I stood there, unmoving. My cheek stung. My soul, even more. I didn't shed a tear. I looked straight at them, both of them, standing there, angry that I had dared to succeed without their permission. And in that frozen moment, as the crowd watched in horrified silence, I knew something in me had changed forever. The ceremony ended in chaos. My professor tried to pull me aside, concerned, asking if I was all right. I nodded numbly, the sting of my father's slap still throbbing across my cheek, but the deeper pain wasn't physical. It was something far colder, the public confirmation of everything I'd always feared. They didn't just dislike me, they despised me. They had never wanted me to succeed, and the second I did, they tried to erase it with a single blow. Security escorted my parents off the field, but not before my mother screamed behind them, "We raised you! We let you go to college! This is how you repay us? By making us look bad?" I stood under the blazing sun, surrounded by caps and gowns and applause, yet I'd never felt more isolated. My classmates stared at me with pity, some with disbelief. I wanted to melt into the grass, but something inside me hardened instead. My hands clenched. My jaw tightened. This wasn't going to be the end of my story. It was just the break between acts. After the crowd dispersed and families reunited, I walked silently to the administration building. I didn't even go back to my apartment. Not yet. I went straight to the financial records office. "Can I help you?" the woman behind the desk asked kindly. "Yes," I said. "I need a printed copy of who paid my tuition, every semester, itemized." She blinked but nodded. "You're on the list for full scholarship, I believe?" "I know," I said, "but I need the breakdown and the name on record for payment." 10 minutes later, I held the truth in my hands. Every semester, every dollar, every source. Not 1 cent from my parents. Not one. Everything had been funded through merit, through grants I applied for, and loans I had paid off from tutoring, waitressing, and working in the university's lab. I had receipts, literal ones. I smiled. I walked straight to my apartment, still in my gown, and grabbed the envelope labeled Emergency Backup. Inside were copies of every financial aid document, every acceptance letter, and the note from the dean offering me a position in the university's cancer research lab starting next month. Then I turned to the bottom drawer of my filing cabinet, the one marked Legal. I pulled out the manila envelope my parents gave me a year ago. Inside were the notarized retirement fund documents I'd agreed to co-sign with them, the ones that listed me as their financial manager. At the time, I thought they were finally trusting me. In reality, they just didn't want to pay for a real accountant. And they made one fatal mistake. They had signed over temporary proxy rights to me during emergencies. Their lawyer had never imagined that I would be the emergency. By evening, I sat across from a financial advisor. "You want to withdraw the full amount and dissolve the fund?" he asked, eyebrows raised. I nodded once. "Liquidate it, move it into a trust, one they can't touch." The paperwork began. By the time the sun rose the next morning, I had legally frozen their accounts and set up a new trust under my name. I didn't take their money. I protected it, from them. The next day, the university emailed a video of the graduation to all the graduates. The unedited recording included the entire incident, the slap, the scream, the gasps. It had already been clipped and shared on social media. Valedictorian slapped by parents during speech was trending in local circles. But then came the interview request from a reporter. And another. Then the clip went viral. People from around the world started messaging me. Lawyers, therapists, students who had been abused and silenced. I never expected the world to care, but they did. And somewhere in that flood of strangers came something else. A scholarship fund. A small tech investor from Seattle who had watched my graduation speech emailed me personally. "Anyone who can survive that level of humiliation and still deliver a composed speech in front of hundreds has the resilience I want in my lab." He offered me a job, double what the university was offering. 2 weeks later, I boarded a plane to Washington. I didn't say goodbye. I left my diploma, framed and signed, on my old bedroom door, a silent reminder that they hadn't broken me. Then a month passed, and that's when they called. Not to apologize, not even to check in. My dad's voice was cold. "We need to access the retirement fund. I can't find the login, send it over." I didn't reply. A few hours later, my mother texted, "Your father's waiting on that password. Don't be difficult." I sent a single photo in response, a picture of a shredding machine. And then I sent another, a video. Me, in a university auditorium, standing at the same podium where they had embarrassed me, holding their retirement paperwork, looking directly into the camera. This is for every child who was told they didn't deserve success, for every girl whose parents clapped louder for her brother's mediocrity than her excellence. I didn't get here because of you. I got here in spite of you. Then I fed the papers into the shredder. The video cut off with the final twist of the blades. That video? It hit 1 million views in 2 days. 3 weeks after the video hit 1 million views, my parents showed up at my office unannounced. I had just come out of a strategy meeting when I spotted them standing awkwardly in the sleek, glass-walled lobby of the research lab. My mother was in her usual pastel blouse, wringing her handbag like a dish rag. My father looked older, more tired, as if the weight of public humiliation had finally sunk in. Or maybe it was the realization that their favorite child didn't hold the reins anymore. The receptionist was trying to remain polite, but her raised brow told me she recognized them. Of course she did. Half the staff had seen the video by now. I walked past them without hesitation. "Wait," my mother said, reaching out. "We just want to talk." "Now you want to talk?" I replied, barely looking at her. "When the cameras aren't around and there's no one left to clap for you?" "Sweetheart," she whispered, her voice trembling. "We made a mistake." I turned. Slowly, the silence in the lobby stretched. "No," I said. "You made a choice, repeatedly, loudly, publicly. You chose shame over pride. You chose cruelty over love." My dad cleared his throat. Your brother told us you were exaggerating online, making us look bad. That you hit me in front of a crowd," I interrupted. "You said I didn't deserve my degree, and then you showed up at the bank expecting access to the fund I managed. You never asked how I was doing. You asked for passwords." Their faces fell. For the first time in years, I saw something I didn't expect. Not guilt, fear. Because they knew, deep down, they no longer had control. I didn't invite them into my office. I handed them an envelope. Inside were copies of everything: the scholarship awards, the tuition breakdown, their own signatures on the retirement papers, the legal freeze I'd initiated, and finally, a restraining order they were served with a day later. That should have been the end. But the twist came 5 months later, during a conference in Chicago. After presenting research on early cancer detection, I was approached by the dean of another university, a tall woman with silver hair and a voice like steel velvet. "I watched your speech," she said, "and the video. You held yourself with more grace than most tenured professors could have." I thanked her, assuming it was just a compliment. But then she leaned closer. "How would you like to run your own program?" I blinked. "My own?" "We have a lab, budget, staff, we're expanding, and I've read your published paper. I don't want you working under someone. I want you leading." I almost laughed. I thought of all the times I'd been told to sit down, to stay quiet, to let my brother shine. All the times my parents said, "You're smart, but not leadership material." And here I was, being offered not a seat at the table, but the table itself. I accepted. A month later, I moved to Chicago and took over the lab. I hired 2 interns from underprivileged families, girls who reminded me of younger me. I made sure every single member of my staff knew. In this building, no one gets dismissed, no one gets silenced, and no one gets slapped for succeeding. Then came the final twist. A letter arrived from my brother. It was short. "They kicked me out," it read. "Said I embarrassed them. I have nowhere to go. Can I stay with you?" I stared at the message for a long time. My parents had placed all their hopes in him, funded his every whim, ignored his failures, defended his laziness. And now, when the spotlight dimmed and reality struck, they turned on him, just like they did to me. But I didn't reply. Instead, I mailed him a copy of my graduation photo, the one with the slap frozen midair and me standing there, eyes ahead, chin lifted. On the back, I wrote, "Sometimes, the best way to protect yourself from your past is to let it watch you thrive." The day I received the university's official magazine, featuring me on the cover, titled From Rock Bottom to Research Leader, I framed it. Then I sent one copy to my parents. No letter, no explanation. Just the image of the daughter they threw away. The daughter who shredded their expectations and built an empire from the scraps. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video.